Hey everybody, before you watch the video, click subscribe. Would you please, pretty please? It would help us at Soul Boom so much. Click subscribe.
And so what's happening now is the population in Korea, I think it was either last year or the year before. I can't remember, forgive me, I don't remember the genesis of it, when it started. But for once, their population of people who died outweighed who was born. That hasn't happened in the history of Korea. Why? Because women are refusing to have kids until they're treated equally and fairly. And turns out women are a lot more essential than you would think, than men believe them to be. Because now the government is panicking because they're like, what are we going to do? Like, we're going to die out unless women decide to start having kids again. And they're refusing until they are awarded the exact same rights and respect that men are awarded in their society. And so when people have asked me how I feel, I say, period. Whatever gets them to listen, bitch, I don't give a fuck. If it means I'm clocking out, good luck having kids without me, right? Then in a lot of indigenous culture, there's a lot of beliefs that are spread around about hunter-gatherer, right? Like men are hunters, women are gatherers. A lot of indigenous culture has proven that that wasn't the case. What happened was they would leave women behind because they believed women to be far more essential to their tribe than men. They're like, I could lose 1,000 men and it wouldn't matter. But if I lose 2 women, my tribe dies without them. So they believe they worshipped women to the point where sometimes they thought women were deities. A lot of times they thought trans people or intersex people were deities in indigenous culture, which is why a lot of them have 3rd or 4th genders like mine. So to believe that men are inherently superior historically is not true. Like men have just been given far more opportunity. Can you imagine if we started the race at the same time? Yeah. Who knows? And to think too, there are many different, like for example, Albert Einstein, you know, there's a lot of stories and reports now that his wife was actually the one doing a lot of the math that he's known for. So can you imagine how many things, because whenever I bring that up, men who are awful, they'll say shit like, well, what about the roads? What about cell towers? What about this? What about that? What's funny is when they're like, what about buildings? Have you ever built anything? I haven't. Turns out you're just as fucking useless as me, right? Because we're both iPad babies at home. What are we talking about? Neither of us do construction. So who gives a fuck, right? But past that, how are we to really know that all of those things were discovered by men when they never gave women credit for anything? How are we to really know? I don't know. I could go back and find out none of that shit was discovered by a man, but I wouldn't know. Yeah. Because they don't give women credit for shit.
The story of humanity is a story of the divine feminine. And in the early, we're talking going back 20, 30,000 years ago, all of the deities were kind of woman-based. And then around, I think it was around 5,000 years ago, all of a sudden, as kind of invading armies became more prevalent. Yeah. And like, then a strong male god subverting another strong male god, and our male god kicks your male god's ass. All of a sudden it became very patriarchal. Yeah. But our human origins, our indigenous origins, because at one point in time, we were all indigenous folks. Yeah. My ancestors are indigenous Norwegians, 2,000 years ago. But those were very... those were cultures that honored the divine feminine. Yeah. Where do you find hope? There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of reaction. And there should be. Things are really, really colossally unjust. Yeah. But is there a way forward that builds a bridge and that potentially unites the 2 wings on a bird?
I think that change, like real change, isn't going to come from them just magically being like, actually, I don't think I hate you anymore. I don't think that's where it's going to come from. I think it comes from us. I think it comes from all the people who don't feel that way.
The Soul Boom Podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your stupid podcasts.